You're listening to the BBC World Service. Now it's time for World Stories. And in this programme, Saroj Pathirana heads to Sri Lanka to follow the story of a widow who's searching for her husband's legacy.
I heard the shots. So I ran to the front door. Then the security boy, he asked me to get in. At this time, the shots were going on and I was calling people. They didn't answer, so I don't know what is happening. The kitchen boy came and shut the door also, front side door, and locked it.
On the 13th July 1989, Appapillai Amirthalingam, one of the most significant leaders the Tamil community in Sri Lanka has ever had, was shot dead at his home. His wife found his body.
After nearly 3 or 4 minutes, I went upstairs and saw my husband was sitting on the bamboo chair. I touched him at the cheek and he opened his mouth. I thought he is going to talk to me, but the blood came and it was pouring out.
She left the country 10 days later to live in the UK. In the 20 years that followed, Sri Lanka was torn apart by a violent civil war. My name is Saroj Pathirana. I work for the Sinhala section of the BBC World Service. I'm from Sri Lanka and have been covering the conflict for over 10 years. Sinhala and Tamil communities in Sri Lanka are divided by language, by culture, by religion and geography. The Tamil community in the north and east are in the minority. They've been calling for an independent homeland for more than 30 years.
For nearly 1 decade we have had violence matched by violence on both sides. And the government of Sri Lanka added fuel to the fire by closing the door on the democratic process.
Appapillai Amirthalingam was one of the leading lights among Tamil politicians. He was the only Tamil national ever to be appointed to the powerful position of leader of the opposition. The day he was killed was a significant moment in Sri Lankan history. Everyone remembers where they were when they heard he'd been assassinated. He was by no means the only leader to die in this way, but he was the only Tamil leader with a mass following who campaigned peacefully for a separate state for the Tamils. He wanted negotiation, not guns. His death was a turning point. No other leader commanded such a following. It's been a year since the Tamil Tigers were militarily defeated, and I've come back to Sri Lanka with the wife and younger son of Amirthalingam. Neither of them have ever been back to the house where he was killed 21 years ago.
I love my country. Sri Lanka is a beautiful country, beautiful island. But the war has damaged everything. I feel not happy, neither sad, but anyway, I have come here.
It's clearly hard for her arriving back in this country. I now know that one of the reasons they've come back is that they finally made contact with the security guard who managed to kill all 3 assassins on the spot. And I asked her what else she hopes for from this trip.
This is a good opportunity for me to renew all my thoughts and his deeds, what he did to the community. And also, even though it's so painful to me to come back, it's a good opportunity to see the place where I was with my husband and the security person, Nissanka, and his family.
Why is it that important, this security guard, Nissanka, meeting him?
Everywhere when these people come and murdered people, they escaped. At least these people were killed there. by Nissanka.
The Amirthalingams first met at a Tamil National Festival.
He saw me singing in the Tamil festival. I was 19 plus at that time. He was 26.
And he was a politician.
Yes. And he sent word to my parents that he wanted to marry me. First, my father disagreed. He was a politician. I don't want my daughter to get married to a politician. Then after my mother's brother came and told my mom and father, he is a very nice person. He has all good qualities. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. Then my father agreed.
During their lives together, they became an extraordinary political partnership.
He took me to the meetings along with him. And afterwards, the leader, S.J. Vichelvanayagam, he knew that I can sing and I can speak also. So he wanted me to sing at the meetings. He drew me into politics, and then I liked it. Kaadilolin kundalamum kaikki valaya padiyum.
The couple had two boys, Kandipan and Baheerathan. They also got involved in politics from an early age.
From childhood onwards, I used to wake up in the back seat of the car sleeping in an election meeting or a propaganda meeting or a political meeting. But then later on, from 76 to 83, whenever I had leave from my school, I used to be his driver.
Wasn't that illegal? I reckon you should have been 14, 15 by that
16.
time. 16.
16.
And you were driving?
I was driving. I did drive without the driving license. But I was a good driver, believe me.
And then you said by the age of 11, you were addressing meetings also.
Some meetings.
So what was the response?
It was good. The people were really fond of me, I should say. But my brother later on told me my father lost the election because of me. So it was a kind of joke in the family. He was a wonderful father and he was a wonderful leader as well. That's how I saw him later on rather than a father. He was so fond of us as well as he was so fond of the family.
The whole family became deeply involved in political campaigning. Mrs. Amirthalingam was a regular feature at political rallies and on doorsteps at election time. And both of the sons were passionate about the Tamil cause from a young age. Both of them ended up joining the armed struggle. I find it extraordinary that while their father is trying to promote a peaceful settlement, his sons are joining militant groups and arming themselves.
He didn't stop me from taking up arms. He didn't stop my brother. But he never supported the militant activities, killing civilians, targeting civilian villages, Sinhala villages, and killing the fellow Tamils. He never accepted that.
I myself left Sri Lanka a month after your father's assassination. And I remember being a Sinhalese and having listened to and having read Sinhala newspapers and Sinhala media. Your father was not regarded in Sinhala media, in Sinhala political circles, as someone who was moderate, but actually who tried to divide the country, and some kind of a very, very prominent figure who was actually supporting the separatism. What would you say?
Yeah, he was for the separatism of the country. He thought that separation is the only way. He was a kind of forceful, moderate politician. He wasn't a militant. He was a moderate fighter.
This road?
No, it's a small road. It's not a road even. It takes to a couple of houses.
We are trying to find the house that the Amirthalingam family used to live in here in Colombo.
Yes, that's the place. Yes.
You can leave the bag.
More than 10 upon 27.
It is the first time Mrs. Amirthalingam as well as Dr. Baheerathan, Mr. Amirthalingam's younger son, came back to this place after the assassination of Mr. Amirthalingam.
I asked what she remembers about living in this house.
Meeting people and living quietly. Discussions, political meetings, But now, without my husband, I am feeling lonely and really painful to be in this place. I was sitting in the lounge and my husband was there, and he called the driver and the security people to get ready to go to India House for some discussion, and he mentioned to me, today something will happen to our people, some special decision they will take. So he wanted to go upstairs to talk to Yogeswaran, and some visitors were there. I don't know who those people were. Then my husband went up.
Did you hear the shots?
Yes, I heard one or two shots. I thought somebody at the gate, and I ran to the front door. Then Sadyamurthy, who was at the gate, he signed me to go inside, and some people were going down by the front stairs. I heard the noise, the footsteps, but I didn't see who they were.
There were 3 members of the Tamil Tigers, the armed guerrilla group supporting the same cause as the Amirthalingams. But they believed his peaceful negotiations with Sri Lankan and foreign governments were compromising the armed struggle. The Tigers, or LTTE, wanted to be the only representatives of the Tamil people and for their violent methods to be the sole way of dealing with the government.
My father was murdered by the LTTE because my father worked with the Indian government, which was for the Indo-Sri Lankan Accord, which was proposed by the Indian government. So he was ready to accept a political settlement, which was regarded as the best political settlement at that point in time. But that's why he accepted that, and he died for that.
Your father was accused of providing the ground and creating the ground for the Tamil Tigers to emerge as a strong militant force. Isn't it ironic that he was killed at the end of the day by a group initially he supported before they became very ruthless organization?
I have to say here, like all these militant leaders who emerged during 70s were with my father from the beginning. They were my father's followers, but at the same time, he never supported the militant activities of them.
Are you Nissanka?
Saroj Pathirana from the BBC World Service.
The following day, Mrs. Amirthalingam and her son met the security guard who shot and killed all 3 assassins.
Mrs. Amirthalingam, come down. Can I give you a hand?
Yeah.
You're shivering. This is the first time Nissanka met Mrs. Amirthalingam and Dr. Baheerathan after 21 years. After that fateful day when Mr. Amirthalingam was killed, Nissanka says, I love him very much and love Mrs. Amirthalingam very much. This is a very, very emotional moment. The reunion of the personal security guard together with the widow of Mr. Amirthalingam and his younger son, Dr. Baheerathan Amirthalingam. And they both are crying, and it is a really emotional moment.
I think I met Nissanka just for 3 weeks before my father's assassination. And the day I left to UK, that was July the 12th, Nissanka hugged me at the airport and told me that I can't understand Sinhala. Nissanka couldn't speak to me, communicate to me, but he said something, and my friends who were standing next to him said that he is telling that he will look after my father like his own father and look after him very well. That's why, because I think I was worried about my father's security then. So he told me that, and then
I left the country. I acknowledged that we hug each other and I left the country. So the next time I saw him was when we went to Jaffna, finished all the funeral things, and when we last rites to my father, and when we came back, I saw him and his wife as well. They came there to the same house, and he was so upset at that time. Oh, he came and I tried to hug him, but he fell on my legs and said he couldn't protect my father. But I think he tried his best. He managed to kill all the assassins. And I think in Sri Lankan politics, that was the first time the assassins were killed on the spot. Otherwise, they would have put the blame on the government or the Sinhala people. The three sit down and start to talk about what happened that evening. Hello. Nissanka says he could see what was going on in the room, and he said he clearly saw three politicians and two visitors. Apparently, they were in a very jolly good mood, laughing, smiling. They heard a bottle. Sound of a bottle dropping in the kitchen. As soon as he started going towards the kitchen to see what happened, he heard gunshots in the room. He was outside the balcony at that moment. Through the window, he took two revolvers and started firing at them.
He had revolvers in both hands. I heard the shots. My husband was upstairs, so I was worried of him. So I ran upstairs. Then I saw my husband was on this cane chair where he was. I went to my husband and touched his chin. He opened his mouth. When he opened the mouth, I thought he's going to talk to me, but the blood was pouring outside. I got it in both my hands and pouring in. So I closed his mouth, and I come to know that he is no more to me. That's all. I was alone. Except my husband, I didn't have anyone to say my things or say what happened. People were there, but then the police came and removed him from that place. With the chair itself, they carried him. They carried him and took him to the jeep. I was running behind him. I was looking. I don't know what to do. That's all I could remember.
In May last year, President Mahinda Rajapaksa declared victory over the Tamil Tigers.
I am proud to announce at this August gathering that my government, with the total commitment of our armed forces, has, in an unprecedented humanitarian operation, finally defeated the LTT militarily.
You were in London when you heard the defeat of the Tamil Tigers. How did you feel?
Even though they killed my husband, I felt we have missed an opportunity, because when the Tigers were in power, they could have solved the Tamils' problem. They could have asked the government and demand something for the Tamils. They missed the opportunity. Tigers should have solved this problem.
Were you glad that you visited Sri Lanka?
Yes, I am glad. At least I am very happy to go there and see all the places I spent with my husband, the security guard's place. After 21 years, I wanted to meet him. At that time when my husband was shot, I couldn't speak to him even. So I am happy that I had an opportunity to go back to Sri Lanka.
Apart from revisiting all these painful memories, did you think that it would help you to come out of your grief?
Yes, in some ways. When I go to that house, I recollected all my memories. I had a happy life with him. It was painful, but even though it was painful, I had a good time. It's still there, I can't put it aside, or it is inside me.
Is it haunting you? Do you get nightmares?
Not haunting, not nightmares. Sometimes he will come in my dreams. It's a pleasant memory, and I like that.
Nearly 100,000 people were killed during the 27 years of conflict, and most of them civilians. The fighting has now stopped, but the two communities seem to be as divided as ever. And for the Tamils who remain, they are now fractured and powerless.
Such a lot of lives we lost. Our community, half the population is gone without any reason. The president should do something to get our people live in this country peacefully, with honor and justice. That is what I want. That is what my husband also wanted. We want a recognized nation, live in this country peacefully. We have a land, we have our language, we have our culture. So this must be honored by the president. I can bow down if he do something for our people.